I want to be clear about why I'm spending this time showing you what you're up against. Not to overwhelm you, not to leave us stuck in what's been broken, but because when something becomes painfully obvious, it becomes intolerable. And that intolerance is what makes change unavoidable. Welcome back to the Revolution Resolution. This is the year we commit to liberation. I'm Dr. Malaika Tubbs, sociologist, author of Erased and The Three Mothers. And each episode of this podcast takes just 5 minutes to help us understand the system we've been living inside of. So we can stop blaming ourselves and each other, stop being surprised by it, heal together, and begin reimagining what a true democracy could be. Everything we've been talking about, silenced intuition, punishment for noncompliance, sexual violence, control, is not random. It's not accidental, and it's not abstract. It comes from a system that was built by people, written into law, and protected for generations. And one of the ways this system sustains itself is by turning punishment into policy. What begins as social correction, shaming, exclusion, disbelief, retaliation, eventually becomes formalized. It becomes workplace policies that punish whistleblowers instead of protecting them. It becomes laws that prioritize order over our safety. It becomes institutions that protect themselves before they protect people. When enough people are punished for speaking up, others learn to stay quiet. When harm is consistently minimized, normalized, or ignored, it becomes easier to build rules around that minimization. This is how a worldview becomes a system. And this is why what we're talking about doesn't just live in history books. It shows up in our relationships, our workplaces, our schools, our courts, and our homes. So I'm naming these patterns deliberately for 3 reasons. Number 1, so we don't lose sight of the world we are imagining and working toward. You cannot build something new if you don't understand what you're being asked to live inside of right now. Number 2, so you begin to recognize these patterns in your own life, not just out there in some abstract way, but close to home, in relationships that feel confining instead of supportive, in jobs that demand your silence, your overworking yourself, your self-betrayal, in expectations that shrink you, exhaust you, or ask you to perform roles you never chose. And number 3, because later this year, when we move more explicitly into action, I want us to be fully aware of what we are up against. Not naive, not surprised, not blaming ourselves when resistance shows up. American patriarchy has survived for nearly 250 years because it trained people to adapt to harm instead of naming it, to endure instead of question, to normalize constraints instead of imagining beyond them. And seeing that clearly changes what you're willing to accept. You stop asking, what's wrong with me? And you start asking, what is this asking me to tolerate and why? So as we close today, I want to leave you with a question. Not so that you answer it perfectly, but just so that you can sit with it. What are some of the barriers you are noticing in your own life right now? Where do you feel constrained instead of supported? Where are your relationships, your job, or your routines asking you to be smaller, quieter, or less free than you know you could be. So just notice that this week. This kind of noticing is what prepares us for meaningful change. Thank you for joining me for the Revolution Resolution. If this episode resonated, please share it, subscribe, and invite someone you trust into this journey with all of us. And if you want to explore these themes more deeply through history, research, and lived stories, you can also find them in my books, Erased: What American Patriarchy Has Hidden from Us, and The Three Mothers: How the Mothers of MLK Jr., Malcolm X, and James Baldwin Shaped a Nation. My books expand on many of the ideas that we're unpacking here together. I'll be back soon as we continue to learn to see clearly so that we can eventually move freely.